Hey guys, today I want to dive into something that is not sports related specifically. This has never been described as exclusively a sports channel, so if you are only here for that, then you might want to click off of this video. It's not really going to be for you. But the last couple weeks, I have really been diving into some older video games. I'm talking stuff from early, mid 2000s, and even a little bit of the late 2000s. And as I'm playing these games and going through these games that are 15, 20 plus years old, it just makes me, and I'm sure I sound old as shit when I say this, but it makes me think, what the hell happened to the quality of video games? Um, you still have some games out there from certain developers like Rockstar, Naughty Dog, that every game they put out is a home run, and you don't ever have to question anything that has their name on it or their logo on it. But I mean, for example, one of the games I was playing and still kind of am playing is Need for Speed Most Wanted, the original one that came out in 2005. And playing that game just makes me realize how far that franchise has fallen. Now, I mean, EA as a whole has really fallen over the years, and that's pretty reflective in most of their game franchises that have dipped over the years. But as I'm playing that game, I'm sitting here going, why is this game better than any racing game that's been released in the last 15 years? Like, why is this game still what I would use as a blueprint going forward rather than some of these new ones? Now, I mean, there might be some people that might question and argue what I just said, and by all means, you have that argument. I certainly can't claim to have played every racing game that's came out over the last 20 years, but just everything that I have got my hands on doesn't even come close. And like I said, it really begs the question: why is the game from 2005 so much better than what we have right now? Why does that racing game have a much better soundtrack? Why does it have much more customization options? The story mode, if you will, is a lot more engaging and fun to play rather than some of the newer ones these days. Um, and honestly, just the mix of cars in that game, the vehicles you get to drive, is so much funner. And maybe that's me kind of dating myself, because a lot of the cars available in that game are cars that are really popular from the 90s and early 2000s. Cars like the Toyota Supra and a couple other ones. But I still, when I played that game, and I'm still playing through it, I'm having a lot more fun playing that than I have any other game recently. And then the other big franchise I was playing recently was the Jak and Daxter franchise. Now, I mean, I can't compare it the same way because Naughty Dog hasn't lost a step in the slightest, but it's another game. Like, what happened to that kind of style of game? And I mean, I guess you could just say platformers, which platformers have really died over the years. There's just not an audience for them like they used to be. But it's one of those things where there used to be such a great quality and in a fun time in a game that actually had like a fun story to it. Nowadays, the only stories you get out of games are exclusively adult oriented. Games like The Last of Us, games like Red Dead Redemption, games that you really don't want your kids playing for sure. But when you go back and play like a Jak and Daxter or its sequels and a Ratchet and Clank and etc., those kind of games from that time period, I mean, kids can play that game and still manage to follow a story and still manage to have fun with it and not be sacrificed. And even as an adult, you can play those games and still follow along with the story and have fun. Those games kind of touched everybody. So as I'm playing these, it's really like opening my eyes and going, what's happened? I mean, one of the easiest answers is probably, greed and everything that goes along with just making money. I mean, certainly that's what's happened with EA and the franchises they've owned, is that they've really just focused and oriented their game plan into, hey, how can we milk this for the most money possible? You've seen that a lot with their sports franchises, particularly Madden, where it seems as though they've really just kind of tried to put out a similar or the same product every year, make as minimal changes as possible, and put an even bigger price tag on it from the year prior. But it's not just EA. It's a lot of other developers too that have kind of really slipped and fallen off, and it doesn't seem like they have the same heart in it as they used to. And like I said, I'm sure I sound like a boomer or whatever you want to call it, just saying, oh, things were better back in my day. And I'm not saying that. There are still some fantastic games that are released now. God of War Ragnarok just came out, just about 6-7 months ago now at this point. One of the best games I've ever played. Great story, great graphics, great gameplay, everything. Certainly can't say anything negative about that. The Dead Space remake that was made, it's been fantastic. Certainly a couple of other games I've played recently. Star Wars Jedi Order was really good. I didn't get a chance to finish that one, but I did have fun with it in the time that I got to play with it. But there are some games out there that certainly still give you, that experience that you enjoy. And they give you even more in the terms of power and performance and graphics and all that than you would have ever gotten in the time period of the other games I'm mentioning here. But needless to say, there's still certainly a desire for some of that consistency that we used to have back in the day. I'm not sure how we go about fixing it. I can only hope that some of these developers and game publishers look at what they've seen from the past and decide to dive back into it. We've seen a couple of games really make a resurgence. I mean, we've seen everything get some sort of remaster or port or something over the years, but I really hope that some of these developers and publishers take the time to actually go back and let us revisit some of these. There's been rumors on the mill about like a Most Wanted remaster or a complete remake. That would be interesting, and then I would certainly enjoy that. The Star Wars Battlefront games are getting a port that was just announced a couple days ago, and that'll be here on March 14th. And I think that would be nice as well. It'll stir up the buzz and stir up the interest in that franchise again, in that style of gameplay, where you don't have to, flood it with microtransactions like the attempt at remaking Battlefront games did. So, I mean, I'm not going to say everything's completely dead and terrible, but I would really like to see somebody show the same attention and love and come out with something similar to what we used to have. Because as somebody who's gamed for almost 30 years now, it's been a long fall from where we were at. Now it's really a diamond in the rough, which is why in the first place I'm going back and playing games that are 15 and 20 years old, because I can't rely on the consistency that games that today are gonna offer me that experience. When I can know for a fact, hey, if I go back and play Need for Speed Most Wanted, I know I'm gonna have a fun time. I know it's a good experience. I know it's a great game. But these days, a game that gets released in the stores, I mean, it seems like 3 out of every 5 of them at least are just absolute ass. I mean, the newest one that I can remember at the time of recording this video was the Justice League game, and Kill the Justice League, I should say, Suicide Squad, and I've heard nothing but terrible things about that. And that's a game that for the last 3 or 4 years since it was initially announced has been generating hype over the time. And it came out, and I've heard not a good thing about it. So it makes it hard as a lifelong gamer to be excited for a newer game when the results show for themselves. So that's really all I got. This video might not have interested a lot of people, but just really want to see more out of you guys. Developers, game publishers, whoever the hell might watch this video, probably nobody, but that's all I got. Let me know if you agree, disagree, etc. in the comments, and see you guys on the next one. Thanks.